All right.
Okay, so the Old Testament, quote unquote, Old Testament. Does Yeshua have the authority to change the Sinai covenant? Now, okay, let's set this up a little bit better. This question obviously is a huge question within Christendom as a whole. Why? Well, because the mainstream Christian church from about the 4th century on, and even before that, basically said that certain laws in the Torah were done away with. And of course, the big ones today are the Sabbath, the kosher laws, and the festivals. Now, the Torah movement, as it is called by me, has basically said, no, we need to keep these as well. Now, there's other ramifications that come along with this. So, for instance, eschatology, what's going to happen in the end, whether or not there's going to be a third temple, and whether or not there will be sin sacrifices in that temple or not. Obviously, these kind of things will stem from a understanding of the Torah and whether or not certain laws have been changed or not. But ultimately,
like what's different? In other words, it's like what's different now? Can we divide time helpfully in terms of like BC and AD, right? I mean, like things like before Christ,
right,
and AD, which of course the year of our Lord. And so the idea is like, was the world one way, and then Yeshua came and resurrected and ascended, and now the world is forever changed. Like there's a radical, brand new thing that is not found in the prior timeline.
Well, and let's be really clear here. Even in our new intro, I pulled clips from Rob and I talking about the new covenant. The idea for us, our belief is that you're not saved differently now than Abraham was saved.
Right.
Paul uses Abraham as the model of justification by faith alone, right? In Galatians, he talks about this is the gospel, which was preached to Abraham.
Exactly.
And so the point is that I don't see this huge change that so many other people see. Now, I think
here's if I may, because I remember I didn't buy the book, but at SBL, I was looking at one of these new books by N.T. Wright, and maybe you'll remember, you might have even bought it, Caleb, or maybe your dad did, but it was on. He's looking at the scientific inquiry of the Middle Ages and where science comes. The original science in Europe came from believers who believed that the creation was good, that it was made by God's intelligent design, and that it was discoverable, that there were things discoverable of the study of the creation.
Right.
And N.T. Wright gets into that and how different ideologically subsequently built up against the idea that there was even ever a God, right? But the point being is that in this book, he, like N.T. Wright does in other places, he makes the resurrection the central hermeneutic. So in other words, he'll say I'm paraphrasing what I would presume him to say, without the resurrection of Yeshua, we have nothing. There's nothing to talk about. And because of that, and I think I had a short chat with Dr. Chris Tilling also on the site, and because he's been commissioned to write a big commentary on 2 Corinthians. And it's the same thing. It's like he made the point. If Yeshua is not alive and resurrected, then all this academic stuff is just a bunch of people echo chambering, kind of thing. And the point is this, though. Okay, let's say I agree that that's true. The resurrection is central. But is the resurrection different for Abraham, who was before it, although he believed it? He knew about we learned that from in Hebrews. It says that he understood resurrection through Isaac, through the offering of Isaac, and it says that he received him as a type of resurrection of the dead. Also, Paul makes the same point in Romans 4. You could say at the end of Romans 4, Paul talks about how that Sarah was barren and beyond the years of beyond menopause, and Abraham's body was basically dead, and that God who calls to be what is not, right, can bring Isaac, right? He gave them a baby boy by his power. So that this point of Yeshua resurrecting as a reality. The question is, back to our original framing of this, is it different for Abraham than it is for us because we're on the other side of it? I would say it's not different because it is true that Yeshua would resurrect is no different of a fact from the Father's perspective, 2000 BC, 1000 BC, 1000 AD, or 2080, right? And that's where we get into that it's not a time-bound question. But if I say it is time-bound and the world was in darkness and then God sent his son Yeshua, Yeshua came and resurrected and changed the world from there on out. And therefore, things that were in order before Yeshua's incarnation are just simply done away. They're shadows. They don't really have any enduring significance in terms of God's expectation of holy living or anything like that, other than maybe some general moral outlines that you could glean from.
Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button and check out more videos from Messiah Matters.